A.D. Williams. Graduated from Morehouse in 1898. Where I said 1898. His father graduated from Morehouse in 1930. MLK with was Dr. Benjamin E. Mays. Dr. Benjamin E. Mays was a giant. He was a giant when it comes to college presidents. He was the president of Morehouse. And in 1944, King's father made a decision to allow his son to skip his senior year because Morehouse was struggling with some enrollment issues. And the president made the decision to admit high school students early. It's called early college. Early college. Delaware State is starting up early college. Early college. Early college. So King, 15 years old. My son is 15. You can imagine going to college at 15. King had people that he could look up to at 15 that can mold that mind, that can shape that mind. And that's what we do. That's what historically black colleges do. And we do it better than anybody else. We do it better than anybody else. We have a history of taking an average student, that's okay, an average student, and shaping that student to make that student grow up, to become a star, a shining star. If you can, I can lay this out and make it very clear. King is probably the most famous historically black graduate ever to walk on this planet. To walk on this planet. But he never forgot Morehouse. Never forgot Morehouse. He kept circling back to Morehouse because it was in his sociology class where he was sitting around the table with black faculty members talking about Thoreau, talking about civil disobedience. That's where he got it from. That's where he got it from, right there. And then he moved on up here, right down the street to Chester. He went to Crowswood Theological Seminary. He was there, walking. So he walked these streets, not too far from here, and got his advanced. Ned mentioned it. The goal is to be number one. We all should get up wanting to be number one. Motivating you every single day to be number one, whatever you're competing against. But right now, according to the U.S. News and World Report, that school down there in Atlanta, Spelman and Morehouse are 1 and 2. As far as the best, based on the criteria that they outline. So if you want to be number one, what did you have to do? You go to learn from number one and number two. So I called the president of Morehouse, spent the day with him in his cabinet, talking about what's going on over here. The people are creating this excitement. What's happening over here? And I spent the day talking to him. And I was smiling all the time. Because I knew I could bring it right back to Delaware. And we're going to do the same thing here at Delaware State University. And we're going to move this institution. We're going to lift it up. Because we're here to help, to build core values. More so than any other HBCU. We have been more aligned with serving the community and being socially conscious. That's what we do. That's what we do. It was mentioned earlier about a bill that was passed. This bill was passed to support Delawareans, a scholarship program. But what we put in the bill that is so unique, we made it a requirement that all of our students, if you earn this scholarship, you have to do 20 hours of community service for free. 20 hours of community service. That's part of the legislation. That's part of the law. And what we discovered on September the 12th, 1960, Dr. Martin Luther King gave a speech at Howard High School. Y'all remember that? The Reverend Maurice Moyer, former pastor of Community Presbyterian Church in Newcastle, a Delaware civil rights leader in his own right. Dr. King's address wasn't planned. He was in Philadelphia at the time attending a Baptist convention where he served as a vice president of the Baptist convention. Reverend Moria was a vice president of the Wilmington branch of the NAACP at the time. Reverend James Leonard Morgan, the then pastor of Wilmington 8th Street Baptist Church. Reverend Morgan had been a seminary classmate with Dr. King at the Crozer Theological Seminary in Chester, Pennsylvania. That connection prompted Reverend Moria to travel to Philadelphia and to ask Dr. King if we would come on over here to little old Delaware. Come on over here and inspire us, because we have our issues here in Delaware. And at the time of his address, I can tell you what was happening in Wilmington in 1960. I couldn't believe this because I thought I was in the North when I left North Carolina. I thought I was in the North when I left North Carolina. But when I got up here, I discovered y'all had y'all issues too with discrimination. So at the time, there was a prominent attorney, Louis Redding. Everybody know Louis Redding? Louis Redding was challenging the city. It was Burton versus the Wilmington Parking Authority. I almost said Baker versus the Wilmington Parking Authority. Left Wilmington the following morning. He never gave another address in the city. But Dr. King visited Wilmington many times, stayed with Reverend Morgan in his home when he passed through en route to New York or Pennsylvania. So we were very excited to learn this. It's important for you to know this. This is part of your history. This is part of Wilmington history. When you have a giant come through your community, you want to record that. It's important to have that.